There's always a lot when you go back. Nothing really is ever as good as you think it is, or as bad as you think it is. So a lot of guys played well. There was a lot of mistakes in the game that we were able to cover up by playing hard, and that to me was, what we talked about. I thought our guys ran to the football well. They covered up some mistakes of one another, and that's what happens when you play hard. So that was a good sign. We had some guys play well, but we had some other guys that didn't play so well. So I think there's a lot that we can get better at. That's for sure, and we'll have a chance to do that this week against. I know it'll be a well-coached UCLA team.
Another tempo team coming in, and of course you face that all the time now. But Chip Kelly's always tried to go faster than everybody.
And we've grown accustomed to playing that way, and our guys, or even our young guys, are adapting to playing fast. And for the most part, we were able to communicate well. We had some missed calls, missed assignments throughout the course of the game Saturday, but 90-some% was good in the communication part. So we get that from our offense pretty much daily. So we should be well equipped to handle it.
Mike, how did Kenneth Murray play Saturday?
He played okay. He could play better, and he didn't get a lot of action, but there was a couple things he could have done. But you just got to keep moving forward, and he's going to get a lot of opportunities this week. And I think he's really focused. Had 2 good days this week, so we need him to he can play better, and he will play better this week.
I assume you'd like to see him have some tackles, but defensive line played well. Maybe he would have had some.
Some plays just weren't there. There's a lot of guys running around. There's a lot of perimeter plays. I thought that's what you saw from when you really looked at the game. The game was going east and west once they figured out it was going to be hard to run up inside. So the game became a very lateral game. So it wasn't a real downhill game, but there's still some things I feel like we got to be more physical in certain areas across the board, and in particular the middle part of our defense.
Hey Mike, does you having been at Arizona when Chip was at Oregon help out at all this week?
Oh, a little bit. I see some similarities when we played when I was at Arizona. Went back and looked at some things, and I looked at you got to look at Philadelphia and San Francisco, and he's adapted as he's moved placed the last 2 or 3 places. I think you have to adapt to your players and to the quarterback and do what they do. And he's had a whole slew of different prototypical, non-prototypical. This kid's a great athlete and a great thrower. So again, he just I think that he has a lot of offense that can fit each particular team, and he can come at you a variety of different ways. When you look at all of that, there's a big body of work, and there's a lot to defend.
Did you all get to know each other at all from your time in
Sure.
Buffalo?
Oh yeah. Chip's been very good to me, and he's an awesome guy and a terrific coach, and he was a great friend during my time. Even though we had great battles with Oregon when he was there and I was at Arizona, so it was fun.
I know Bob had a relationship with him. I think you guys even adopted kind of that Olympic model that he used leading up to games, didn't you?
Some of our training is built from some of his research.
On Saturday, Trey, Parnell, Book, y'all got hands on balls. How do you feel like you guys are more equipped in secondary this year?
Thought the secondary coverage was much better. I thought it was tighter all the way around. There's some things. Some of the screens we were a little loose on. Missed a switch on a sucker screen. They kept throwing those screens, and we call it a sucker, where they fake the screen and run. We missed a switch, but overall I thought our position was really good most of the day.
Mike, what's the vertical test going to be like this week with UCLA? Will it change from Florida Atlantic last week down the field?
Oh, That's hard to say. I mean, we have one game to go on. Like I say, there's a body of work that you have to really dissect and see what's going to fit their players and their scheme and try to anticipate. He's not a big, he's an inside, a lot of posts, a lot of, crossing routes, high lows, concepts. So there's concepts he likes at every level, and you just try to process those and put those concepts in front of our players the best you can from the little sample size that you got Saturday.
What's your thoughts on their personnel on offense, UCLA?
Good. They're young. Got a lot of young players up front. I think the suspensions and missing some of their players and their great running back hurt them. But that's we're just gonna try to worry about us and try to attack the schemes. And you try to attack the players sometimes, but again, we're going to do what we do and try to give multiple looks and movements and try to create a little bit of doubt in their mind pre-snap.
Mike, do you typically see improvement for your first-year players, your young players from game 1 to game 2, now that they got that first one past them?
I think so. As well as they played, just the tempo of the game, understanding the semantics of everything and getting a call and getting lined up and getting adjusted. I think it all takes time, and I thought for those Buki and Jonathan handled things, really like we thought. They handled things pretty well, but they're still going to grow from that experience.
Mike, you get kind of blindsided with the Addison news going into the game last week. Does this week allow you maybe to give some more guys reps to I don't know, toy with things a little bit over there more than maybe you could last week?
Well, it makes us think about there's only so many moves you can make, and if you take a player from this group, what does it do to that group? What does that next player in line in that group? What's he look like? So you're trying to average in succession plans and where it benefits you the most, and you rob this guy to pay this guy. There's what is that analogy? Rob Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of. It's not quite the mice story, but it's similar. So I don't want to be a prophet or anything or tell stories here.
Tell fables.
Oh, is that one of the people? Yeah, I guess. So.
What do you think of how Curtis played?
Curtis played outstanding. Thought even Caleb, both the will linebackers played well, but Curtis, made some plays. That's what he does. He runs around and he plays with great effort, and he's made himself a better player here of late. And we need him to continue to progress, and he can really help us if he can continue that climb.
Could you have moved Caleb if you didn't have a guy like Curtis to play over there with the experience he has?
Yeah, it's something that we have to look at here, probably after this game and see how that, how our team's affected by having one of those guys on the sideline. That's something that always you always think about as coaches, trying to get your best 11. So it's something for us to really consider, and but it's going to hurt his overall development at the other position. So he needs a lot of reps at that position to get to where he wants to get to. So it's a tough call, and it's one that we'll certainly look at here in the next week or so.
I'm sorry, I guess my question was, in the spring, could you have moved Caleb positions if you didn't have Curtis to play that spot as well?
Well, there's always things that go into why we move a player, long-term effects of players, what their ceilings at positions. So there's a lot that you look at. Who's going to be there? Are they going to be here? Are they going to be gone? We certainly have to look at how that player affects each individual position and what we have at the other position. So our ability to play nickel has become more you know, more of a part of what we're doing. So those are all things that you have to really look at.
After watching some film, how did the defensive line play, and who are some guys you thought kind of were good?
Well, again, I thought Ronnie Perkins, Amani Bledsoe, those were probably the guys that probably jumped out at me the most. Those two guys I thought were, you know, they showed up quite a bit. And the other guys were good. I thought the other guys were solid all the way around. Neville had a couple really good plays, but we got to get him off to a better start. So, again, I think they can all play better. I think we can play better as a unit, and that's what we have to keep pushing for.
Do you see the growth from last year to
Oh
this year
yeah,
with a
I
lot
see
of
it consistently, day in and day out. Thought the group really works hard. I love their work ethic and their attitude and how they're developing. I think they showed a big part of that on Saturday, but again, we got to keep doing it every time we step on the field. And I think those guys are prepared to do that.
I think there was one play where Tyrese Lott kind of chased the quarterback down, really put forth a lot of effort. You seeing some flashes from him kind of in that receiver role
Tyrese is
too?
coming into his own too. I mean, he's a guy that has to be certainly a depth player for us that can play, you know, anywhere from 20 to 30 snaps a game and play effective and play winning football. And if we can get that out of him, then that's going to be good for us. So he's worked hard and he's getting better.
Mike, how do you prepare for this team when you can't be sure who's going to quarterback, and it's two pretty different guys?
But he's shown that he's going to run his offense regardless, whether it's Nick Foles or Dixon. He's going to manufacture it to personnel, to styles, maybe blend. He can do a lot of different things. He can play out of a home set. He can play out of shotgun. I mean, he's been around. He's an offensive wizard, so he's going to try to do what fits his quarterbacks and his offensive line. He's got a young group up front. So just trying to give those guys the best opportunity to have some success moving the ball and try to get some shots on you. I mean, those guys, he's got good, you know, he's got a lot of good players.
Mike, thanks.